Many NBA superstars are greatly hated today for different reasons. Because of their polarizing figure, dominance, and decision making the fans simply cannot get over. For example, Reggie Miller was one of the biggest villains of the 90s because of his assassin and attitude, absolutely despised by Knicks fans to this day. Reggie always takes a shot on the air every time New York plays on TNT, while Bill Laimbeer, Isaiah Thomas, and the Bad Boy Pistons remains one of the most hated teams all time. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Today, we'll take a look at the most hated player from every NBA fan base today. Starting in alphabetical order with the Atlanta Hawks, MacLeod Dellavedova joined the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals, dived into Kyle Korver's legs for a loose ball in Game 2, injuring him. Korver missed the remainder of the series, while Al Horford was called for a flagrant foul against Delhi. The very next game, Cleveland ended up sweeping the Hawks. Many believe the 6'3" point guard was diving on Korver's foot on purpose. In an absolute dirty player, honorable mentions includes LeBron James, who swept the franchise 3 different times, Al Horford for signing with Boston, and of course Paul Pierce. The Boston Celtics, Kyrie Irving, absolutely despised in Beantown. The fans want the Nets to suffer and will criticize Irving whenever they get the chance. After a disastrous 2019 semifinals, everybody gave him 100% of the blame for the team's disappointment, never fully committed in Boston. Even when he was hurt and couldn't suit up against the C's, many blame him for being a coward and claim he wasn't really hurt. Although Boston also hates LeBron for beating them so many times, James is actually respected for his greatness, Irving not so much. The Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons. The tension started during the 2019 playoffs when he got into it with Dudley, where Dudley called him an average player at half court. Before Game 3, Nets fans even made a poster of Simmons mocking his missing jumper, but the 6'10" point guard ended up breaking the Nets spirit, scoring 31 points the third game, won 4 straight after losing Game 1, continues to play well against the Nets. The Charlotte Hornets, LeBron James, who continues to dominate and destroy the franchise. After meeting Kemba 28 times, James won undefeated against Walker during his Charlotte tenure, swept the team in the 2014 playoffs. Since the Hornets haven't been relevant for a long time and will continue to stink, James is 45-6 overall against Charlotte for his career, an 88% mark. The Chicago Bulls, also LeBron James. Many of the older fans will always love MJ, and since the debate gets brought up very often, James will always be disliked, especially beating the franchise in the postseason 3 times, while former Bull Carlos Boozer deserves an honorable mention for his overpaid lackluster effort during his time in the Windy City. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Kelly Olynyk. Fans simply won't forgive him to this day after injuring Kevin Love's shoulder, proving to be costly for the 2015 Cavs title hopes. A healthy Love would have certainly helped in the finals. Fans continue to boo Olynyk every time they get the chance, while Joakim Noah's up there for his negative remarks towards Cleveland.
You like it? You think Cleveland's cool? I mean, I never heard anybody say I'm going to Cleveland on vacation. I mean, what's so good about Cleveland?
The Dallas Mavericks, Rajon Rondo. Things got so out of hand, him and Rick Carlisle went back and forth. Rondo showed zero respect, a nasty breakup. He was supposed to be the guy to help the franchise get back to contention and make a deep playoff run, but instead did the opposite, simply a head case. Dallas fans absolutely despise him to this day, while retired superstar Dwayne Wade deserves an honorable mention. The Denver Nuggets, Andre Iguodala, who spent 1 season with the franchise, was arguably the team's best player on a 57-win roster, was pretty much pre-game worshipping Golden State in the first round of the 2013 playoffs, told the Warriors the Nuggets' defensive plan for Steph and refused to execute it himself. George Karl wanted the team to play Curry physical, but Iggy apparently passed the tactics along to Jarrett Jack, who let Mark Jackson know the Nuggets strategy. In an upset where the 6-seeded Warriors won, Denver fans felt betrayal. No surprise, Iggy rejected a 4-year, $48 million offer and signed with Golden State the following season. The Detroit Pistons, Joel Embiid. Since Josh Smith's nightmare contract's finally over, even with Andre Drummond no longer with the team, fans won't forget about Embiid's trash talking on the nightly basis. The results were mostly one-sided. Joel loved playing mind games. The fans will still continue booing him. The Golden State Warriors, James Harden. The fans simply cannot stand his flopping antics and questionable calls. Even though the franchise is 4-0 against his Rockets, a lot of times he looks for the refs to bail him out, especially trying to kick his legs out in big moments, shooting jumpers. And because Rockets fans believe Harden's the better player over Curry, those ongoing debates will continue. LeBron James is a close second since he beat the Warriors once in the finals. The Houston Rockets, Draymond Green, a good role player who's had many battles, got into it with Harden a bunch of times with some collisions, beloved by the Warriors. Green even said he gets fouled by Harden on Harden's 3-point attempts, and y'all thought I was lying. Draymond absolutely hates Harden's tendencies, especially guarding him. Rockets fans simply cannot stand the 6'6" power forward and his trash talking. The Indiana Pacers, LeBron James, since he's crushed the franchise so many times in the playoffs, having a 20-10 record against them, 5-0 in series victories, including 2 buzzer-beating game winners, despite forcing 2 Game 7s, James was simply too spectacular, giving Lance Stevenson, Paul George, and 2018 Victor Oladipo no hope. The Los Angeles Clippers, I'm going with Jared Dudley, since he runs his mouth more than anybody, who barely gets any playing time, especially on the rival Lakers, since the Clippers franchise was toxic in the 2014 season. Always keeps saying his Lakers are the more superior LA team, being the 13th man on the bench. Too much chatter for somebody who averages 1.5 points a game, according to his enemies. The Los Angeles Lakers, Patrick Beverley, because Laker fans are confident with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Pat Bev was cut from the Heat when James was on the team, still holds a grudge against him, and every time his team wins, he talks loudly. Every time the 2 LA teams play in the regular season or potentially meet in the playoffs, the 6'1" point guard will do anything he can to frustrate the Lakers, their fans, whether it's on the court or making comments off the court. The Memphis Grizzlies, it used to be Chandler Parsons, but more recently, Andre Iguodala, who never played a single game for the franchise, demanded out, refused to be part of a rebuilding team where the players were actually better than expected. The young Grizzlies were angry. Iggy was collecting paycheck after paycheck from the organization to stay away, threatening to sit out the whole year. Memphis fortunately got a lot in return, sending him to Miami. The Miami Heat, Dion Waiters, who was a mess with the edible incident, became a huge distraction this past season. The team was succeeding without him anyway. Combined with the suspensions, he simply caused his own demise. Next time he plays in South Beach, the fans will let him have it. The Milwaukee Bucks, James Harden, him and Giannis been going back and forth on social media, trading blows. Even after the Greek Freak won MVP, and deservingly so, the Beard wasn't satisfied, which angered the fans. After Giannis picked Kemba over Harden in the All-Star Game draft, the 6'5" shooting guard stated, "I wish I could be 7 feet, run and just dunk. That takes no skill at all." The Minnesota Timberwolves, Jimmy Butler, the team was forced to trade Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and Larry Marketing for a 1-year rental that got knocked out the first round of the playoffs. Butler forced his way out, cursing the whole team and organization. At practice, unimpressed with Wiggins and Towns, the fans don't appreciate his locker room presence, alienating the future of the franchise. Minnesota looked bright at the end of 2017, but now a mystery. The New Orleans Pelicans, Anthony Davis, after he forced his way to Los Angeles, the last game of the regular season, wore the shirt saying, "That's all, folks," dominated his visit back, dropping 41 in New Orleans, the most by a player against his former team. The New York Knicks, Kristaps Porzingis, who also forced his way out of a bad organization. Knicks fans were irate. Their highlight of the 2020 season, beating the Mavs twice, getting so little in return, setting the franchise 5 steps backwards. Nobody knows when New York will be relevant again. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Kevin Durant, for leaving the team in summer 2016, especially joining the same team that beat him in the playoffs. Those fans will never ever forget, although Damian Lillard deserves a mention for destroying OKC in the 2019 playoffs. The Orlando Magic, Dwight Howard, appreciated by some, he did cause tensions with former head coach Stan Van Gundy, forcing the organization to fire Stan and send him to the Lakers. The franchise remains irrelevant ever since. Many fans felt if he was more mature, Orlando could have contended for many years. The Philadelphia 76ers, I'm going with Kawhi Leonard, since he broke the hearts of the fan base by hitting the insane game-winning jumper with multiple bounces in Game 7. Otherwise, the Sixers would have had a legit shot at winning the title against the beatable Bucks team and depleted Warriors roster. Honorable mention goes to Karl Anthony Towns because of his beef with Joel Embiid, and of course Jared Dudley with his beef with Ben Simmons. The Phoenix Suns, in reality, the fans hate their owner more than anybody. For a specific player, I'm going with Markieff Morris, who made a huge steal when the franchise traded away his twin brother. Instead of staying, he forced his way out, feeling disrespected, and stated he wouldn't play for the team when his brother's not there. Dealing Marcus to the Pistons was a slap in the face. While Suns fans also didn't forget Eric Bledsoe's tweet, they despise him too. The Portland Trailblazers, Russell Westbrook, viewed as Damian Lillard's biggest rival, public enemy number one, Russ always tries to go at Lillard physically by backing him down on the post, plays super aggressive, and gotten into his face a couple times. The Sacramento Kings, it should still be the refs from the 2002 conference finals, used to be Spencer Hawes. During the time the team thought about moving to Seattle, Hawes was happy about that, but for 2020, I'm going with Dwayne Dedmon, who requested a trade 30 games into the season. Given his 4-year overpaid $50 million deal, the team needed a big. After letting Willie Cauley-Stein walk, fined $50K for his remarks, the team dealt Dedmon back to Atlanta after not resigning Cauley-Stein in 2019. The San Antonio Spurs, Kawhi Leonard, despite helping the franchise win a title, even Finals MVP, many felt he was faking an injury and demanded out, didn't appreciate how his former teammates failed to back him up, only played 9 games in the 2018 season. We'll never know the extent of his injury. The fans felt he quit on the team, and they had little to look forward to ever since he was traded. Those fans can't boo Zaza Pachulia anymore since he's retired. The Toronto Raptors, LeBron James. The term LeBronto makes the fan base sick. After 3 straight years of destroying the Raptors, especially 2 straight sweeps in 2017 and 18, the whole team simply melted down and knew it was going to be over against James's Cavs. The tandem of Larry and DeRozan never saw success, but rather fear against LBJ. The Utah Jazz, a very close one between James Harden and Russell Westbrook, both extremely hated, but I'm going with Westbrook since he's gotten into that altercation with a fan and talked about his wife. The fan got banned, but we don't fully know the whole story and what words were actually said. Although Harden has Utah's number in the playoffs and goes to the free throw line at will, I also give Russ the edge since he's played them in the 2018 playoffs. Those fans will also never forget when he was superly aggressive towards Ricky Rubio. The Washington Wizards, I'm going with Kelly Olynyk, who simply torched the franchise many times, hitting a go-ahead layup in the 2018-19 season opener, especially in the playoffs Game 7 of the 2017 semis, where the backup center went off for 26 points, 14 in the fourth, hitting jumper after jumper, looked like Larry Bird out there, denying the Wizards hopes of going back to the Eastern Conference Finals, something the franchise hasn't done in over 40 years. Those were the most hated players from every NBA fan base. Who are some of your most hated players? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love all of you. See you next time.